And we're back
What's
with
going on,
Walking the
y'all?
Weird. My name is Tyler. This is,
My name is Sean, as always.
and he has another case for us, correct?
Yeah, the doozy of a one.
Aren't they all?
This one's pretty dooziest.
Oh,
This one's pretty dooziest. So this one is this one's actually from the same place. What is it? Not the same place, but it's kind of similar to one of the ones that we were talking about last time. I don't know if you remember our very first case, Brandon Lawson.
yeah.
Well, this guy is called Brandon Swanson. A lot of the sons having issues. You know what I'm saying?
Is this
So
also at the Cecil?
this is not at the Cecil. That was the last episode.
Okay, I didn't know if there was like a theme.
No, 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 no. This one's just a disappearance. So
Just.
just a disappearance. No one was ever found after this. Anyway, so but this case did lead to law changes.
Oh, good.
So a lot of things were changed as to how police deal with missing people, stuff like that. Sorry guys, I have allergies, so I'm really sniffly. But
It's the cocaine.
it's the cocaine. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's a bunch of weird instances that happen with them. People like it caused the law to change because people were taking advantage of the fact that people were okay. Well, it's one of those tricky ones where he's above age,
Mm-hmm.
so police didn't react as quickly as they should have.
By the way, this is really off topic. You do need to watch the Judge Dredd movie with Sylvester Stallone, so that way every time you say law in your head, you'll be like law.
Law with the lip crooked and everything.
You need to watch it.
I'll watch it again. I haven't
No,
watched
he
it in a
doesn't say it.
long
Someone
time.
else does.
Oh, someone does it?
He's like, I am the law, and the other guy goes because he's hamming it up. He's like, law. It's great.
So I'm gonna go into a little bit of the background that was going on. Just it's brief, right before the disappearance. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a native of Marshall, Lyon County in southwestern Minnesota. Swanson graduated from Marshall High School in 2007. He then chose to study wind turbines for a year. Who the fuck studies wind turbines? But whatever.
Him.
He studied. That's why he went missing. Anyway, studied wind turbines for a year at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. Obviously, we're kidding, Brian Schaefer or Brian Swanson. Please, please, please be okay. You're probably not, but please. But anyway, so
Go back to your wind turbines.
the wind turbines. He studied that in the Technical College on campus in Canby. The classes at Minnesota West ended for the academic year on May 13th, 2008. Swanson stayed in Canby for the evening to celebrate with friends at two different parties. He was witnessed drinking alcohol, but his friends said not enough to make him seem visibly intoxicated. Now, before we get to the case, how many times have I told you, bro, I'm good?
Not even that. Like, bro, when we had Gentleman Jack, it didn't hit us right away.
Yeah, it didn't hit us until we were about to go to bed, and we're like, oh,
Then we really had to go to bed.
for real.
So that's not always
A
that's
good
not always a
excuse.
thing. That's
Right.
not, you can't be like, oh well, he looked okay. It's like, well, yeah, he probably was. Then
He wasn't very quickly. But anyway, so with that going into it, he seems kind of like a guy who has his head on track. A lot of the times when I give these backgrounds is because a big reason that a lot of these people go missing is police officers go, well, he has the right to go missing. He probably wanted to start another life. When you have this much stuff that you're doing in your life, it's and you have friends and family, it's very hard to be like, oh, he wanted to start another life. Typically, those people are very isolated, are very like, it's more of a delusion that the family and friends have that they were happy than it actually is. You know what I mean? What
yeah,
were you saying?
no, I was just say like usually there is a damn good reason they wanted to start another life.
Right. Usually, there's a really good reason. But anyway, here's the disappearance. Swanson left Canby for the 30-mile, 48-kilometer for those fucking metric guys drive home before midnight. Just before 2 a.m., he called his parents on his cell phone, telling them that he had driven his Chevrolet Lumina off the road
Oh,
and
that's
into a
why he went
ditch.
missing.
Because the Lumina, I
Yeah,
know, horrible year,
I'd go
horrible car.
missing too if I had that
Right,
car.
dude, for real. I'd
So
purposely go missing.
seriously,
See, with that car, now you're just like maybe he did want to start a new life,
I get it.
but off the road into a ditch from which he could not remove the car. He was stuck there. He
Well,
was
no
hurt and
shit,
asked
it's a
them,
Lumia.
right, no safety features. No, he was not hurt, but and asked them to come by to where he was and pick him up. Annette and Brian Swanson got in their car, in their pickup truck, and drove out to where they thought he was, keeping him on the phone despite occasional hangups and drops between,
Yeah,
like,
that's normal.
yeah,
That happens. Like,
you don't have
de-
reception, whatever. It's a
depending on where you're at, that's normal.
Yeah, it might be normal. This one, there's a map here. I'm gonna post on here. It's very desolate where he's at. Very desolate because it shows where he's at and where he thought he was. So Brandon stayed with his car and tried to signal them by flashing his lights on and off, but they saw nothing. Nor did they see them. Nor did he see them do the same. So this entire time they're on the phone, they're talking about how they can't see each other, how they can't see each other's lights, how they can't see each other's, whatever's going on, and they are basically now getting kind of frustrated with each other because they can't really tell where the other one is.
Mm.
And Brandon has given him directions that he's in a place and he's not in that place. So Brandon finally gave up and told him that he was leaving the car to walk towards the lights that he could see. That led him to believe he was near a city called Lynn, or a small town. It's
Mm.
roughly 7 miles west of Marshall. He told his father to head for the parking lot of a local bar and wait for him there. Brian began not driving there, walking there, walking there, talking to his phone. Or I'm sorry, not Brandon, not Brian. Brandon was on the phone. Brian was driving towards him. The dad was driving towards him. I'm sorry, I got that confused real quick. I'm so sorry. Brian was driving the car to get to Brandon, and Brandon was on the phone. And they
Just
were,
just a bit like the father.
yeah, the father. Yeah, I should do that. The father was on the phone, and he was talking to him and everything like that, but he was headed towards his direction. Shortly after 2:30, 47 minutes into the call, Brandon suddenly interrupted himself on the phone and said, "Oh shit." He was silent for the remainder of the call until his parents hung up and made multiple attempts to call him back. Brandon has not been seen or heard from since then. So let's go over this part before we go. He was in the map that I'm about to show. The place where he was is right here. The place where he thought he was literally like 10, 20 miles, 10, 15 miles above him. Not far at all. He literally thought it was the same road. Have you ever gone on a freeway and you thought, oh, this is the right freeway? And then you're like, oh,
Yeah,
no, it's
no,
not.
I do that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm going the wrong way. Like,
Yeah,
is
you're going the wrong way. Now
because it's the
imagine
wrong
dark
like
and
connection.
desolate.
Yeah, it's like the wrong connection, and you don't
Yeah.
realize it until you're like really far down, and you're like, oh no,
Yeah, you're
like
like, fuck.
yeah,
And you didn't realize it, right? And he doesn't seem to have realized it right away. So the last thing that anybody heard was, oh shit, as his parents were trying to head over to the bar. Now, this is where things get a little weird. Investigation. At 6:30 a.m., his parents reported Brandon missing to the Lynn police. They were told at first that it's hardly unusual for young men at that age to stay out all night after the last day of college classes. Annette Swanson specifically recalled to one of the officers and said that it was Brandon's right to be missing. That's what the officer said. The officer said it's Brandon's right to be missing, so there's not really much we could do. The map of the area that I'm about to show and southwest uh, uh, of the area, northwest and southwest of Marshall. Later that morning, the Lynn police did start a search based on that grid of the area.
mm,
All right. Now, but found no trace of Brandon in the town or outside. They requested that the office of Lynn County Sheriff Joel Dahl assist them. To better focus the search, the sheriff office obtained Brandon's cell records, which a lot of we've known that a lot of cell phone companies are not eager to switch over. Sometimes it'll take up to 30 days, before they even begin to give you anything.
I get it.
It's privacy. It's privacy. So anyway, they got the phone records, right? Hang on, let me see where I was. I totally lost my place. Oh, which revealed that Brandon had been calling from the vicinity of Taunton along state along State Highway 68. The main route to Canby, northwest of Marshall, 25 miles from Lind. Searching in that area, deputies discovered Brandon's abandoned car in a ditch of a gravel road off of Lincoln County, and off the line of Lincoln County. I'm sorry, a mile north of Highway 68, bringing the office of that county's sheriff Jackie Visky into the investigation as well. So like right on that border,
So
they
they're
brought
yeah,
her in
so
there.
they're like right on the
Yeah.
line.
So they're right on the line. So they had to involve many precincts. So you see the sheriff from Lynn County, you see the police department from Lynn County, and now you're seeing it from Lincoln County that they're trying to go in and look for this guy. So it's actually when they started moving, they actually took it seriously. It was the initial part
Like,
that
oh, this is he's not just at his buddy's house. This
yeah,
isn't just parents like, oh, he's
right,
fine.
right, right, right.
Like they're like, oh crap.
Like it's an actual issue. So they brought her as well. I'm sorry, Jack Visky, not Jackie. I said Jackie. I meant Jack Visky. He told the media that the Lumina had gotten hung up on the top of an incline at the edge of the road, not seriously enough to damage the car, but enough to keep the wheels from touching the ground on that side. So that's where he was stuck. Um, there was nothing else found amidst the car, and due to the grass and gravel in the area surrounding, there were no tracks and thus no way to tell the direction that Brandon might have started walking in. His cell phone call had been routed through a tower at the intersection of County Routes 3 and 10 near Minetto, I think it's how to pronounce. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
Mm-mm.
another along Highway 68, another town along Highway 68.
Mm-hmm.
By May 15th, the call had been determined to have come from within 5 miles of that radius of the tower. The searchers were concentrating their efforts there since part of the circle included Yellow Medicine County to the north. So now we're involving another county. It's right on that cusp. To the northern authorities from that jurisdiction that also took part, like I mentioned. Dahl noted that from the area, a red light atop of a ton grain elevator could be seen. He thought that it was possible that the red light Brandon had seen had led him to believe Lind was within walking distance. Ground searches were being completed or complemented. I'm sorry, with a flyover by an aerial team. So they had search dogs, they had an aerial team, they had a foot manhunt. Everything was going on, and search dogs were also brought in. Like I said, from the Twin Cities, a team of bloodhounds from the nearby Cottington County, South Dakota, another county got involved. Picked up a 3 mile.
So like everyone is
Everyone's
involved
in
in.
there. Everyone and their mama, and then some people. They picked up a 3 mile. They picked up a 3 mile scent, 4.8 kilometers for those commies. Set trail that largely followed the field roads northwest to an abandoned farm, then along Yellow Medicine River to a point where it appeared to enter the stream. Brandon had mentioned passing fences and hearing nearby water. His father recalled. On the theory that Brandon might have drowned, boats from the state's Department of Natural Resources were deployed along the river, and gates were installed in some areas in Lincoln County. The water had been about 10 feet deep on the morning of the disappearance, but on the morning of disappearance, those fences had been placed there.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm getting a little confused. I'm jumping around a little bit. I do apologize. I'm trying to get as much detail in, but had gone down since then. Dahl noted deputies also walked the riverbanks, and horses and all-terrain vehicles were deployed in surrounding area. However, Dahl ruled out a more organized, extensive ground search. Now, if you have if you have that type of search, I can understand why he stopped the ground searches because it led him to water. Like, where else are you gonna go? I mean, I understand picking it up from the other side, but at the same time, it's like, you know what I mean?
But why would he go in the water?
It was a thing if he accidentally drowned because he was nearby a stream. So as he was walking, it could have been that he was in the dark and he slipped, and that's what caused the oh shit.
Oh,
So that was a theory that was presented. So that's why they started deploying. And then the dogs that led to a stream, they were like maybe he fell in or whatever, right? Now, after the original search found no sign of Swanson, most efforts were discontinued. Sheriff Visky continued to walk the 2 miles of the Yellowstone, of the yellow, I'm sorry, not Yellowstone, Yellow Medicine in that area every day for 30 days. So Visky was actually like he
Trying
was
to,
he was
yeah,
going every day, like walking those 2 miles, and he did it for 30 days. The Swansons left their porch light on all night, every night, as a symbol of their hope that Brandon would eventually return and be found, and still do. Searches resumed late that fall after fields planted shortly after the disappearance had been harvested. Dogs on those searches continued to follow the scent of human remains into an area northwest of Porter that had not been searched earlier. Efforts picked up again in the spring after snow melted, because there's a lot of in Minnesota. There's a lot of fucking snow and shit going on. So after the snow melted, but before planting a cycle that continued through 2011. So the farming cycles. If I'm jumbling up anything, please let me know right away, because I'll go back. By that time, 122 square miles had been searched. In 2010, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension took over as lead agency on the case, and it was set up a tip line. They set up a tip line by 2015, and 90 leads had been reported that way. By that point, when official searches resumed, the area of interest had moved towards Mud Creek, a tributary of the Yellow Medicine northwest of Porter. So it had moved to another search. They had moved the search to another place. Now, I am going to go over this one little part just because of the theory. While the trail followed by one of the dogs went to the Yellow Medicine, the river, and despite her son's last known words, Annette does not think he drowned there. After following the scent to the water, that dog continued across the other side and along the riverbank to another gravel road, where it continued north towards Yellow Medicine County, the Yellow Medicine County line, where it ended. There really is nothing to indicate that he's in the river, she told numerous media sources. Brian Swanson, the dad, also recalls that any alcohol his son had consumed earlier in that evening, notwithstanding, I'm sorry, in that evening, he did not seem disoriented or confused during their phone conversations. So it wasn't enough to like,
where you can tell you're like,
yeah,
ah, he's clearly drunk. Oh, great. Like,
yeah. If Swanson is still alive, there are possibilities, although they appear remote, that he could have intentionally disappeared. But his parents do not believe that he would have done that because of all the things that he's been doing. Visky said that he could not rule out foul play, even though there was no evidence of it. However, someone could have been in the shadows and they got him that way, he speculated. Now, we're going to go over briefly what the law does, and then we're going to go into theories. So, the law that was changed was to change the writing of the law to basically say from child to persons. So now instead of reacting partially to or reacting to missing children, they react to missing persons equally. So we got something out of it, right? Now, this is where things start getting a little horny for the or not horny, ornery, not horny. I'm sorry, ornery for the police. Viskney said that there is no possibility of there was no sign of a foul play, even though he says he can't rule it out. There's no sign of foul play, right? Now, people's argument to that is, then why did the dog get back out of the water and continue down the trail? So he didn't go in there. He might have fallen in there, but where did he go?
and that kind of gets to my theory of it, just based on what you said. I think he got hit by a car.
How?
Hmm?
How?
Like goes through the thing, goes up, gets on the road, got hit by a car. Guy takes the fucking bodies out somewhere.
How come the dogs didn't pick up on the scent?
Water.
After the water, they picked up the scent.
Mm. I don't know, but that's all. Like I don't.
So later it was. So
You
later
know
it
what I
was shown.
mean?
No, no, no. I get you.
I
I
just
get you.
don't. I don't have any. I don't see where, oh, like, you know there was, it's a conspiracy. Not even conspiracy, but like it's, like,
Where the weird part is.
yeah, like,
Now let me.
this does happen. This shit
Now
does happen.
Now here's the part where people started questioning it. So why would an officer say that there's no signs of foul play if the trail continues and he's so adamant that he drowned? Drowning people don't get up and undrown and then redrown. You know what I mean? Like
Wow,
they don't do that.
wow, that's a form of that's an ism. You're a terrible person.
What?
I can drown if I can get up if I want to.
Well, my dad didn't do that, so I'm just
Damn, that was
basing it off
dark. That
that.
was dark.
I'm just basing it off that. But no, like what came out later in another report is that those dogs, one of the police officers, I guess, went anonymous for this. He said that the scent not just stopped at a trail, but went all the way up to a garage
Oh,
where a person, where a person was said to be there, but they didn't know if he was living there. They knew that he was around the area, but they didn't know who he was. Like they had just seen someone there.
but that's what I'm saying. Like maybe he was there. He had him, stored him.
All the way up to the garage
Yeah, put him in the truck.
in an abandoned. Then where did he go from there?
I don't have that part of the story.
Because that scent would still be active from the car. You would still be able to smell it. So the dogs would continue following it, but they didn't. So that was one thing. Also, the oh shit, what happened to his phone? There was no remnants of his phone. What happened to the phone? If he fell into the water, because people were theorizing that he fell into the water, and his phone broke,
Yeah, I
which
could
was
see
the reason
that.
why.
Yeah,
Right, it makes sense. Where's the phone? It wasn't in the water
that they know of.
that they know of. Well, they searched that river pretty much the whole way. There was no phone. There was no phone found on the way. There was no anything.
So what's your theory, Bigfoot?
No, I think my theory is that he got abducted, not by aliens. He got abducted by people.
That
Like
it's sad when you get abducted by people because that's worse than the aliens.
yeah, it's worse than the aliens. I mean, you
Like,
get light probing with aliens. The other ones they kill you, turn you into soup and shit. But no, like I think his case um, was somebody just abducted him. Somebody saw him out there and said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna kill this guy," and they killed him and unfortunately took him. I think that the law was very wrong to basically exclude the fact of starting the search early, of doing all that stuff. I think that law enforcement failed on that part.
but they do have they are right. Like you do have a right to go missing. Like you don't have you don't have to live your life. You could just do whatever you want. Like there is
Right,
no
right.
like
Now, here's the thing for people who don't know, if you file a missing persons report,
it has to be like 72 hours, right?
no,
No?
no, most people think that that's a law. That's not a law. That's not an actual law.